What's up? My name is ASAP Flash, and I'll be breaking down the entire series of BoJack Horseman, at least up until season 5, season by season, character by character. Yes, that means instead of combining everything in one video like I did with the Endgame, I'll make this down into several videos and talk about more about the show. So without further ado, let's go. First, we meet up with BoJack Horseman. Duh. Nothing too much out of the ordinary, just a washed up actor from the 90s trying to relive his glory years by rewatching old episodes of the show, and he even interacts with former castmates like he never left. Now, why does that sound so familiar? French. Anyway, it's a fairly normal show aside from Bojack getting into a verbal scuffle every now and then until he meets Diane, until he and Diane, his ghostwriter, visit an old friend, Herb Kazaz. It's a normal visit in that episode until Herb blames Bojack for his demise, which is technically his own fault. But because Bojack feels personally responsible, it starts a domino effect of terrible destructive behavior. Well, I'm not going to get too ahead of myself. Before I move on into season 2, I want to talk about the scene near the end of season 1 where he's asking Diane if he's still good. I feel like that could hit him actually reaching out to someone for validation, especially later in the series. It showed what type of sad upbringing he had. What I love about the show is how every season is an overarching plot theme going on, and the most obvious for BoJack most obvious for BoJack is controlling his legacy by hiring a ghostwriter to be honest and tell every ugly detail about him. I think it's the fear of being forgotten, but it's along the same vein. So the start of season 2, he's finally doing something what he dreamed of, making that Secretariat movie. But the irony is, when he's supposed to do a dramatic thing, he can't because he's in the same mental state. Well, he's positive until the end of the episode where he gets some encouraging word from his mom. Also, what changed from season 1, he tries to help, and remember the key word, tries. For instance, he tried to get the shot that was actually more important to him to shoot, but ended up getting the director fired. Another irony I'd like to point out in season 2, when he starts losing control, i.e., Kelsey Jennings getting replaced with someone incompetent, the movie losing its tone and essentially back to where he started. Sure, he got to what he wanted, but at what cost? And to sidebar for a quick second, this show feels so much like Dan Harmon's Story Wheel, and those unfamiliar with it, it goes like they're in a zone of comfort. They want something. They enter an unfamiliar situation, adapt to it, get what they want, pay a heavy price, then return to a familiar situation having changed. Now this sounds a lot like the run of BoJack Horseman. You know, he wants to be remembered. He wants his legacy to be changed. Then he gets what he wanted, but at a price. Basically, yeah, it's like it's interesting. Anyway, so now on to season 3. Long and short, he has an inflated ego by the last few episodes because his publicist, sorry, I forgot what role she played, but I'm pretty sure that's his publicist, gassed him up and threw him a big lavish party, well technically he threw it himself, to celebrate his success that was just a mere pity nomination. In this season, there was some sense of duality. Sure, BoJack is getting acclaim for getting acclaim, the thing that made, getting acclaim that he wants, but when he gets it, it feels so hollow. It's just another artificial thing that'll make him temporarily happy. It's when possibly the biggest fuck up happened when he wrecked his relationship with his friend and his home. He fell off the wagon with a recovering addict slash former castmate, Sarah Lynn, which unfortunately led to her death. This moment weighed so heavily on that he lost his long lost daughter. Came to visit him. He was standoffish at first, but over time he became like a watchful detective. In regards to in some regards at least to Hollyhock. Well, I made it to season 5 without going into depth about BoJack's home life, and coincidentally, that's when the show. Never mind, it was in season 4, but the thought that counts. In short, his parents, well, his mom at least, wasn't always the crotchety asshole she always is slash was. was basically learned behavior from her horrible father, and quite possibly the best episode in season 4 showed her all her tragedy made clear when she was not to blame, but not fully because she still does that shitty things. But behavior like that continues until they actively seek to break it. As such happened in season 6, where BoJack is truly reconciling for all the shit that he put everyone through. Which, like, I'm like halfway through season 6, and that seemed like that's the tone that's what's happening. I think it's interesting, like how those times in the show where the lead character did, like when he drove off after filming the movie, he wants to be famous, but with still making movies and being in the business, it doesn't sound like that's his passion or whatever. Anyway, I like the conversation between himself and Princess Carolyn, where she asked uh, why he hasn't told her about rehab. He says he didn't want to bother her, which sends that they're our friend. Even though, like, despite crap, despite many things, if you fix yourself up before it's too late, your friends will always be there. I feel like I glossed over season 5, but to get to it, but before I get to it, I'd say seasons 4 through 6. I'm assuming, like I said, I'm like about halfway through the season, or I'm almost done with the second half. No, anyway, are the most intense. It basically keeps escalating until he goes into rehab. But I guess after rehab, he still has to answer for Sarah Lynn's death. You know. Anyways, with season 5, I think where the line begins to blur even more so with a set of Filbert looking exactly like his house. Perhaps a callback to the first season, his addiction to the painkillers, and so many other things combined results to him facing his own demons. Perhaps literally when he's looking up at the balloon version of himself and it at him. It's probably a reference to the painting that he has in his house where it looked like a horse is drowning, and there's another horse looking directly at him. So it could be a reference to that. Like that he's the drowning character, and the balloon in the sky is like the horse looking down at it, is kind of taking pity, or looking at himself in the mirror, so to speak. I feel like that's it for this video. In my earlier videos, I talk about, like I said in my shit. Like I said in my earlier in this video, I'll talk about the other characters and the theme and yada yada yada. Honestly, I wanted to do something like this for the end game, but it took too long. Anyway, if I missed anything, please let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next video.